Hey, this is a very quick introduction to OneMotion Chord Player. A great way to play around with chord progressions, particularly if you don't have an instrument handy or you are maybe not particularly skilled on an instrument, but you really want to make some music. Maybe you've got some lyrics and you want to put some music to those lyrics and you've got a tune in mind. This tool can help you achieve that goal. So let's have a quick look at the layout of Chord Player. Not going to point out everything right now except the fact that we're in chords. We could also look at melody and play individual notes, but we're going to focus on chords. Obviously in the instrument panel we can select a range of different instruments. I'm going to encourage you just to start with the piano as the starting point. The style is going to be really important. I'm going to demonstrate that in a minute, and obviously your scale you can change. Now again, I'm not going to go into that in detail right now. I'm just going to stick with a C major scale for now, not wanting to assume that you necessarily know a lot about scales yet. We can talk about that another time. Okay, so let's have a little bit of a dive in straight away. Obviously all of these buttons on here, as soon as I hit one, it's going to play a chord. Now as I hold down the mouse over the C, it's playing, you can hear the rhythm that it's playing. Now if I change the style to, that's dance 1, if I change the style to once, doesn't matter how long I hold the button down, I'm only going to get the one chord. So the style can be really useful when you're first experimenting with this tool. So let's just have a quick look at pop for a second. So you can see it's got a really different rhythm than, say, from that one that we started on, which was dance. Now you'll notice too when I'm in the style panel, I can also be setting my tempo. And again, don't want to get bogged down in that right now, just want to get you playing. So I'm just going to leave that with the default, which is 100 beats per minute at the moment. All right, so let's just have a bit of a play. I'm going to, in my head, I've got some lyrics that I've got in my head that I'm going to imagine I'm going to try and put to some music. And I'm just going to muck about with what I've got on this screen, which is basically all of the chords in C major, because that's what we've got it set to at the moment. So let's just have a bit of a play and listen to them. Now obviously I've stuck with my centre line there. I haven't looked at the chords either side. We'll do that in a minute. So let's just choose 4 or 5 chords, and I want to show you something really important about this tool. So I'm just going to start with C. I'm going to click on C and I'm going to drag it down into the bottom panel. And I want you to notice that it's automatically defaulted to 4/4. So it's given us this with 4 beats. I can click on edit and it will tell me how many beats do I want it to go for, and I want it to go for 4. So I can close that. So what might I like after my C? Okay, I'm liking that transition, C to E minor. Lovely transition. Okay, then where am I going to go after my E minor? Okay, pretty classic chord progression, C, E minor, F, and G. And you'll notice each one of these chords has been broken up into 4 beats for each one. Now, let's imagine for a minute. Let's just play it. Let's play this back and see what it sounds like. just for an experiment, let's change the style for a minute and let's try, let's just go to rock for a second and let's see how different it sounds where the tool is going to play it in a different rhythm, obviously a rock rhythm. And I don't know if you can hear too that the bass note that's coming through when it's being played. And if I just go back into the edit tool for a second, we can see here that I can actually change my bass note. But again, we'll have a little bit more of a closer look at that a little bit later. So I don't mind this progression, it's quite nice, but I'm wondering if I might actually want to finish on A minor. I want to show you what I mean. So I'm going to drop A minor in there. They're still all going for 4 beats. Now, I'm going to suggest, in terms of the structure of your first song that you're creating, let's try and keep 4 beats of 4, 4 bars of 4. So at the moment I've got 5. So a simple solution would be to make the A minor only last for 2 beats, make the G only last for 2 beats. Now let's have a listen to that. Okay, but I want to swap the A minor and the G around. So just delete the G and then put it back in and have to go back in and change it to 2 beats, and let's listen to that again. Okay, I'm liking that, but I actually prefer the dance rhythm, so I'll go back to that one and let's just test that one more time. Okay, so at the moment, you know, this could be the main verse of my song. What I would do is I would probably be quite tempted to not necessarily try to put my words to it yet, unless I was feeling super confident, but I would probably just start mucking about with a vocal line without words. So let's just give that a go. And just by doing that, I'm getting a feel for this, both the rhythm that I'm working with here, but also that chord progression. Now, obviously, I don't want a whole song to be like that. I would probably want to, if I was being a classic pop songwriter, I'd have a couple of, a few verses and I'd have a chorus and maybe even some kind of a bridge or something. But I guess the point I'm making is this is the starting point for the creation of something. Now, the best thing about this tool is once I've had a chance to come up with a bit of a solution, which I have right now, is I can actually save this as a WAV. I can export it as a WAV file. And I'm going to suggest you work with WAV file rather than MIDI file, because depending on your music editing tool that you're going to be working, if you're on a Mac, obviously you have got access to GarageBand, which is fantastic. So let's just do that. Let's just export that as a WAV. And I'm going to leave the file name as it is because it's extremely clear. It tells me that it's chords. It tells me the chords that I've used, although it doesn't tell me all the chords I've used, does it? So I'm just going to put C, what did I use? C, E minor, F, A minor, and I popped a G in there as well. So let's just put G in there as well. It's telling me my beats per minute. And I'm just going to put V1 because I might use the same chord structure later, but have a different version. Maybe I have mixed up how many beats each chord is getting. So once I've saved that, I now have this WAV file, which, as I said, I can use in any music editing program. Once you've had a bit of a play with that, we'll have another session where we dive a little bit more deeply into how to use some of the other aspects of this tool. Also, don't be afraid when you're playing around to not just stick with that centre line of the straight chord, but to muck about with some of the things like, for instance, having the seventh added could be a lovely addition. Let's have a bit of a listen. So the world is your oyster, and this is just the beginning. Have a play.